Will the Senate please come to order? Are there any announcements? Seeing none. We have a Senate resolution to take up at this time. Let's see, it is offered by Senator Vyhovsky and others. Listen to the reading of the resolution.
SR 15, Senate resolution urging that all state agencies, departments, and offices protect the civil rights, medical confidentiality, and all aspects of personal privacy of Vermonters who have been diagnosed with autism in light of the Secretary of the U.S. Health and Human Services recently announced plan to establish an autism research database and other database related to autism.
Now you've heard the reading of the resolution. The chair in its discretion will treat this resolution as a bill and refer it to the Committee on Health and Welfare. Oh, Senator from Chittenden.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would move that at this time the Senate suspend its rules in order to bring up H 321, an act relating to miscellaneous cannabis amendments, H 458, an act relating to the Agency of Digital Services, and H 484, an act relating to miscellaneous agricultural subjects for immediate action.
The senator from Chittenden has moved that the Senate suspend its rules in order to take up for immediate action H 321, H 458, and H 484. Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and the motion passes. So these are third readings now. So we have H 321 for third reading. Are there any amendments prior to third reading? Seeing none, listen to the third reading.
H 321, an act relating to miscellaneous cannabis amendments.
The question is, shall the bill pass in concurrence with proposal of amendment? Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and we have passed H 397. We now have H 458 up for third reading. Are there any amendments prior to third reading? Seeing none, listen to the third reading.
H 458, an act relating to the Agency of Digital Services.
The question is, shall the bill pass in concurrence? Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and we have passed whichever one that was, 458. H 458. We now have H 484 for third reading. Are there any amendments prior to third reading? There seems to be an amendment. Senator from Grand Isle.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll give it a minute. Well, this is passed out, but I'll give you a brief description of my amendment. The amendment is basically the one you saw in the calendar, which was offered earlier on 319, page 319. It's the purpose of the amendment today is to clarify the application of Vermont's wetland rules as they apply to Tier 1A and 1B wetland designated areas in industrial parks, including wetland buffer protection, as well as mitigation ratios. I'll give it a second here before I go any further. Make sure everybody has one. So this wetlands reform language was proposed and is strongly supported by the Agency of Natural Resources and the Department of Housing and Community Development. This presents a right sizing of our wetlands permitting, which enables more housing while continuing to protect wetlands statewide. Further, this reform follows the structure of the Act 81 land use reforms by enabling greater housing densities in areas that we want to support growth, such as Tier 1A and 1B and interim exemption areas. These areas, oh, you have mine? No? You want? Yeah, thank you. These areas would include industrial parks, designated growth centers, and surroundings. And the basic construct of the amendment is to reduce the buffer zone in those areas from 50 feet to 25 feet, only in those areas. And it would also, in those same areas, reduce the mitigation ratio from 2 to 1 to 1 to 1. If I may talk about housing, there are housing projects across the state in development right now that would benefit from this amendment. The amendment will right-size our wetlands permitting to enable more homes to be built in a developable area, as well as industrial parks, which are already, it concentrates the growth and basically prevents sprawl is what it does. It will still protect and result in net wetlands gains across the state. And if I may, Mr. President, as you're done your conversation.
Yes, you may.
Thank you. I'd like to read from the following quotes directly from the 2024 wetland gains across the state. In 2024, no completed permitted projects included wetland creation or conservation for compensation. Nearly only 1 acre of wetland was filled. That's compared to 135 acres of wetland that was gained. The Clean Water Initiative Program in the Department of Fish and Wildlife tracks voluntary wetland conservation and restoration activities associated with state-administered funding by fiscal state year. So again, for fiscal 2024 alone, 135 acres of wetland was reported as voluntarily conserved through funding. And a little bit more about the amendment. It would allow in certain circumstances already permitted areas to be further developed, and in some cases in the Washington County area and in Burlington, would allow for 20 more units of housing to be developed on the property that's already permitted in certain cases. So that's the reasoning behind my amendment. I was hoping to get this in another bill, but having said that, at this point, I would ask permission of the body to withdraw, of the Senate, to withdraw my amendment.
Without objection. Are there any further amendments? Senator from Washington.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just rise to offer my respect to the senator from Grand Isle. I've done it myself where I've offered an amendment and then without the support of the committee, then withdrawn that amendment. And so I just want to thank the senator from Grand Isle. As much as I thoroughly disagree with the substance of the amendment, I am grateful just for the process. Thank you so much.
Are there any further amendments? Seeing none, listen to the third reading.
H 484, an act relating to miscellaneous agricultural subjects.
And the question is, shall the bill pass in concurrence with proposal of amendment? Are you ready for the question? Senator from Chittenden North.
Thank you, Mr. President. There was a couple of questions that came after the Finance Committee report earlier on second reading, and I just want to address those. The senator from Windsor brought up a question about how often does this happen, the heavy cut rule application, how often do those happen? And I spoke with legislative counsel, and they're They're pretty infrequent, and that's due in large part to the forest management plans that we have in place across the state for folks that have their lands in current use and are managing their forest stands today. So it's not very frequent that these happen since 1997 when the heavy cut rule came into existence. And then second question was the member from Washington asked about the impact of Section 5, the current use allowing for the $2,000 in donated crop versus the actual cash sale crop, adding in that donated part. And speaking with JFO, it expects to be a de minimis impact on state revenues. So I hope that satisfies both senators that had questions earlier. Thank you.
Are you ready for the question? The question is, shall the bill pass in concurrence with proposal of amendment? Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and H4 84 has passed in concurrence with proposal of amendment. Senator from Chittenden.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe we are ready on H209. So I would move that at this time the Senate suspend its rules in order to take up H209, an act relating to intranasal epinephrine in schools for immediate action.
Senator from Chittenden has moved that the Senate suspend its rules in order to take up for immediate action H209. Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Senator from Bennington.
Mr. President, this is a little tiny amendment to the epinephrine bill that we passed out of this body a week and a half ago, whenever it was. And what it really does, there was a section in the original bill with some people involved, including the Department of Health and the Nurses Association and the Department of Agency of Education, worked together to come up with a sort of a way that the construct for who would be allowed to dispense the epinephrine to either students or other people in the building. And all the House proposed, and if we know it's very hard to get school nurses. And so all the amendment does is take the language that we had, which reads, school nurse means a school nurse or associate school nurse endorsed by the Agency of Education pursuant to the licensing of educators and the preparation of educational professionals rule, and adds onto that an additional clause to the effect that, here it is right here. So just a clause at the end, or registered nurses certified through the Office of Professional Regulation, OPR, and contracted to perform the duties of a school nurse. That's it. And so this just makes it a little bit easier for schools to get a school nurse and gives them the ability to do this work. And the committee, in a kind of a one-on-one straw poll, unanimously endorses this and asks the body to concur. So we ask the body to concur with the amendment.
So H209, the House proposal of amendment to the Senate proposal of amendment. The House has considered the Senate proposal of amendment and has concurred therein with further proposal of amendment. The question is, shall the Senate concur in the House proposal of amendment to the Senate proposal of amendment? Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and we have concurred. Senator from Chittenden.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I would move that the Senate suspend its rules in order to message the actions taken on H321, an act relating to miscellaneous cannabis amendments, H458, an act relating to the Agency of Digital Services, H484, an act relating to miscellaneous agriculture subjects, and H209, an act relating to intranasal epinephrine in schools, to the House forthwith.
Senator from Chittenden has moved that the Senate suspend its rules in order to action its messages on H321, H458, H484, and H209 to the House forthwith. Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it, and the motion carries. Senator from Chittenden.
Thank you, Mr. President. That completes what we are able to do this afternoon. There are a number of proposals from the House that require just a bit more committee work. There are other bills that will be coming to us. So there are also conference committees that are going to be meeting this afternoon. One thing I want to let people know, if you have not been here for the end of the end game, that is the next few days, we meet multiple times, sometimes 5, 6 times during the day. Sometimes it goes late. So if you need to alert people that you may need to be here, for instance, Friday night, we might wind up finishing very late. So being here until midnight is not unheard of, past midnight not unheard of. So please make sure that your attendance includes the ability to stay here well past the dinner hour. So with that said, Mr. President, I would move that the Senate stand in adjournment until 10 a.m. Thursday, May 29th, pending further announcements.
Are there any announcements? Senator from Windsor.
Thank you. Senate Economic Development, I would like us to meet, if we could, at 3:30. Briefly, we've gotten S-122 back from the House, and I'd like to discuss our concurrence or not. So 3:30, I hope works for everybody. So at least check in at 3:30 in our committee room. Thanks.
Are there any further announcements? Seeing none, the senator from Chittenden Central has moved that the Senate stand in adjournment until 10 a.m. May 29th. Are you ready for the question? If so, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the Senate will stand in adjournment until 10 a.m. May 29th.